Only weeks left. That's the phrase you keep hearing. But nobody is explaining what it actually means for you. Listen carefully. Right now, behind the scenes, Social Security is preparing to shift how certain payments are handled. Not next year, not someday, in just a matter of weeks. And while officials aren't calling it a major announcement, something unusual is already happening. Some people are seeing changes. Some are getting letters. Some are noticing movement where there's been silence for months. Others, nothing at all. And that silence is what's making people nervous. Because when Social Security changes a rule quietly, it's never random. It's deliberate. It's timed. And it usually affects people who aren't expecting it. You might be asking yourself right now, is this good news or bad news? Is my payment about to change? Do I need to worry? Before you jump to conclusions, slow down. Because the truth is more complicated than the headlines you're seeing online. This is not a sudden law passed overnight. This is not Congress flipping a switch. And this is not Social Security running out of money tomorrow. What's happening is more subtle and in some cases more important. Over the past year, Social Security has been reviewing delayed cases, backlogged files, income updates that didn't process on time, eligibility checks that were paused, reopened, and recalculated. You may have heard someone say, "My payment changed and I don't know why." Or, "I got a notice, but no money yet." Or even, "Something is pending on my account." Those aren't accidents, they're signals. Signals that the system is shifting gears. But here's the part nobody tells you. When Social Security updates how a rule is applied, it doesn't roll out like a press conference. It rolls out case by case, file by file, person by person. That's why confusion spreads so quickly. One person sees a change and posts about it. Another person sees nothing and panics. Rumors explode. Scammers jump in, and suddenly everyone thinks they're either about to get a big payment or lose everything. Before you get too excited or too afraid, you need to understand what this change really is. Because this isn't about everyone getting more money. And it's not about cutting people off either. It's about how Social Security is finalizing payments during a narrow window of time and that window is closing. That's why you keep hearing only weeks left, not weeks left before benefits end, weeks left before a processing rule shifts. And once that shift happens, the same situation can produce a very different outcome. Timing matters here more than most people realize. If your case is already finalized, one set of rules applies. If it's still pending, another set might. If your income change was reported early, it may be treated differently than if it was reported late. If a review was paused, reopened, or flagged, it could move all at once. This is how Social Security works: quiet, administrative, often misunderstood. Now, here's where things get personal. If you rely on Social Security, retirement, SSDI, or SSI, this affects your peace of mind because uncertainty is stressful and unclear information makes it worse. Now, those internal reviews are colliding with a rule update that has a hard calendar deadline. And when deadlines hit inside Social Security, things move fast. Here's why this matters. Social Security doesn't just send checks, it runs on rules. Rules about income, rules about eligibility, rules about timing. And when a rule changes even slightly, it can affect how payments are released, adjusted, or delayed. That's why some people are suddenly seeing movement after months of nothing. You don't want surprises when it comes to your income. You don't want rumors guiding your decisions, and you definitely don't want to panic over headlines that leave out half the truth. So, let me be very clear with you. This is not a reason to panic, but it is a reason to pay attention because what happens during the next few weeks could determine how and when certain payments are processed, especially for people who've had recent changes, reviews, or delays. And if you don't understand what's changing, you could misunderstand what you see. Now, let's talk about what actually changed because this is where most of the confusion comes from. When people hear rule change, they imagine Congress voting or the president signing something. That's not what this is. This change is about how Social Security applies existing rules at a very specific point in the calendar. Every year, Social Security updates internal processing guidelines. These guidelines decide how income eligibility and payment adjustments are finalized. They don't change the law, they change the timing and order in which cases are processed. And right now, that timing matters more than usual. Over the past few years, Social Security built up a massive backlog. Millions of cases were delayed. Income reports sat unprocessed. Reviews were paused, reopened, or kicked down the road. Instead of everything moving smoothly month to month, cases stacked up. Now, Social Security is clearing those stacks. And to do that, they're enforcing a rule boundary, a cutoff point that determines which cases are handled under the old method and which fall under the updated one. That's the change. Same program, same benefits, different processing window. Here's why that creates new payments for some people. When Social Security recalculates a case, it doesn't just look at today, it looks backward. It checks months where payments may have been too low. It checks whether income was counted incorrectly. It checks whether eligibility should have started earlier. If corrections are found, those adjustments don't always trickle out slowly. They can release in batches. That's why some people are seeing unexpected deposits or pending updates, not bonuses, not gifts, corrections. Now, let's talk about why this is happening right now. Social Security runs on a fiscal calendar. Certain adjustments must be finalized before the next cycle begins. If they aren't, they roll into a different processing stream with different timing rules. That's why internal deadlines matter so much. Right now, Social Security is pushing to finalize reviews before that boundary hits. Cases that cross it may be delayed longer. Cases that clear before it may move faster. This is why people in similar situations are getting different outcomes. One person's case cleared last month, another's is still pending. Same story, different timing, and timing is everything here. Now let's clear up some misinformation. This does not mean everyone is getting a new payment. It does not mean checks are automatically increasing across the board, and it does not mean benefits are being taken away en masse. What it does mean is that existing rules are being enforced more strictly, especially around income reporting and eligibility dates. If you reported income changes late, the recalculation may look different. If your review was paused and then restarted, the release timing may change. If your eligibility start date was unclear, it may now be corrected. That correction can feel sudden, but it's based on past information. This is also why Social Security is being careful with communication. They don't want to promise outcomes before reviews are finalized. They don't want panic and they don't want misinformation spreading faster than facts. Unfortunately, silence creates its own fear. And into that silence come headlines, rumors, and false guarantees. Before you get too excited, understand this. A pending update does not always mean more money, and no update does not always mean nothing is happening. This process moves unevenly. Some files are clean and move quickly, others require multiple checks. Some are flagged automatically, others need manual review. That's normal inside Social Security, even if it feels chaotic from the outside. But here's the key point you need to remember. This rule change is not about cutting people off. It's about closing out unfinished business before the system shifts into its next cycle. And the reason it feels urgent is because deadlines create pressure, not because the system is collapsing. Now, this is where everything starts to feel personal, because once you understand the rule and the timing, the next question becomes obvious. What does this mean for you? The impact of this change depends on one thing more than anything else: your situation. Social Security doesn't treat every recipient the same. It can't. Each case is built around income, eligibility dates, medical reviews, work history, and reporting accuracy. So, let's walk through the groups most likely to feel movement during this period. First, retirees. If you're receiving retirement benefits and you reported a change in income in the past year, Your case may be under review, especially if that income affected how much you were supposed to receive. If Social Security determines that you were underpaid, that correction can be released once the review is finalized, not always as a new monthly amount, sometimes as an adjustment that appears suddenly. If you were overpaid, you may see a notice first before anything else happens. That notice matters more than rumors online. Second, SSDI recipients. If you're on SSDI and your case involved work activity, trial work periods, or earnings close to the limit, your file may be part of this cleanup process. That doesn't mean your benefits are ending. It means Social Security is confirming past months and making sure the numbers line up. In some cases, payments that were held or delayed can be released once the review clears. In other cases, nothing changes, and that's actually a good outcome. Third, SSI recipients. SSI is where timing matters the most because SSI is extremely sensitive to income reporting, household changes, and eligibility windows. If you reported something late, even unintentionally, your payment may have been reduced or paused temporarily. Now, as cases are being recalculated, those months are being reviewed again. That's why some SSI recipients are seeing partial increases or corrected amounts, not because of a new benefit, but because an old issue was resolved. Fourth, people waiting on decisions. This includes people waiting on eligibility reviews, redeterminations, back payments, reopened cases. If your case was stuck, flagged, or paused, this rule change can act like a release valve. When the system shifts, pending cases don't disappear, they get pushed through. That's why movement often feels sudden. Now, let's talk about something that scares a lot of people. Does this mean payments could stop? For most people, no. Social Security doesn't shut off benefits without notice. Reductions, pauses, or changes usually come with written explanations. Silence is not the same as danger. In fact, during periods like this, silence often means your case hasn't reached its review point yet. Another fear I hear all the time is this: if something changes now, will it affect my future benefits? Generally, no. These adjustments are about accuracy, not punishment. They're designed to correct past months, not rewrite your entire future. That said, reacting emotionally can cause problems. Calling repeatedly without new information, submitting duplicate paperwork, making changes based on rumors. Those actions slow cases down, not speed them up. This is why understanding what's happening matters so much. Because when you know the process, you don't panic when the system feels quiet, and you don't celebrate too early when you see movement. This period is about alignment, getting records, payments, and timelines to match reality. Some people will feel relief, some will feel nothing at all, and some will feel uncertainty before things settle. All of those experiences are normal. The worst thing you can do right now is assume the worst, or assume everyone else's situation applies to you. Now let's talk about what happens next, because this is the part that brings everything back into focus. Over the next few weeks, Social Security will continue finalizing these reviews quietly. There won't be a single announcement. There won't be a press conference. Changes will appear gradually. Some people will receive notices in the mail. Some will see updates in their online accounts. Some may notice a deposit that looks different than usual, and some people will see nothing at all. That doesn't mean you were missed. It means your case didn't require adjustment. Here's what Social Security is focused on right now: closing open reviews, finalizing calculations, making sure payments align with eligibility, and reported information before the next processing cycle begins. That's it. This is not a new program. It's not a political move, and it's not a sign the system is about to collapse. It's maintenance. Now, let's talk about what you should do, and just as importantly, what you should not do. You should watch your mail. Official notices still matter more than anything you read online. You should check your account occasionally, not obsessively. Updates don't happen every day. You should keep your records organized. If something changes, you want to understand why. What you should not do is panic. Do not assume a delay means a denial. Do not assume an update means a permanent increase. And do not respond to messages, calls, or emails promising guaranteed payments. Scams explode during moments like this. If someone tells you they can unlock a payment or speed things up for a fee, that's not Social Security. Real changes come from the system, not from strangers. Now, here's the reassurance part, and I want you to really hear this. Social Security changes are rarely sudden. They're slow, administrative, and often misunderstood. Most benefits continue as scheduled. Most people are not losing money, and most adjustments are corrections, not cuts. This rule change is about timing, not targeting. If something applies to you, you will be notified. If nothing applies, your benefits continue. The system is not perfect, but it is not designed to shock people without warning. That's why staying informed matters. When you understand what's happening, you don't fall for fear-based headlines. You don't make emotional decisions, and you don't let uncertainty take control. We are in a short window right now where awareness makes a difference. Not because something bad is coming, but because clarity is better than confusion. So stay calm, stay patient, and stay informed. If you want updates as this situation continues to unfold, make sure you're subscribed. I'll keep breaking it down in plain English, without hype, without panic, because your peace of mind matters, and understanding what's really happening is always your strongest protection.